Singing, we will rock you. We will rock you.
A lot of people have been asking me about more logic things and different sculpting things, so I'm going to try and combine a couple of different things and make an exploding rock, which I was talking about earlier.
Exploding rock.
So, I'm going to first leave sound mode and go into sculpt mode, and we're going to make a rock quickly.
There we go.
A very nice rock.
That's how I make.
So,
That's my level of sculpting.
a lot of you have seen the looseness we have. You know, you can go loose and you can go tight, but we also have something we call non-uniform looseness, varying looseness. You see down in the bottom corner there, and that means it's sharp on the edge, but loose in the middle, and that's really good for creating texture on your stuff. It doesn't, you know, because textures always varies on things, so it's really good to use varying looseness, I find, to do things like rocks. Okay, so I'm going to try and make a rock with various tightness and looseness and whatnot.
And if you're interested in the shortcuts John is using on this, next week we will do a stream. Tom will keep you posted on our social channels as soon as we know the day and time for that. Kareem's going to do a stream for us and show how to use the move controllers and use all the special shortcuts.
Okay.
This looks really nice.
Thanks.
Strong rock.
The attention to detail you put in your sculpts is always impressive. We had John make a strawberry once, and he made every individual bit on the straw. It took so long.
And you can even afterwards you can even go in and change the looseness with the thing. So what I'm going to do is do that, but you can also soft blend it a little bit, so I can go and sharpen those edges up nicely, which is really cool makes it look more rocky in my mind. So I'm going to take a little bit of time on this, and there's a reason.
2 hours later,
there's a reason I'm going to do that. There's a reason I'm going to do that. You'll see. It's important to take care on this bit for the next bit I'm going to do, because you only have to do this once. If you mess this bit up, it's then harder to fix it. So get this bit nice, and then the next bit's going to be really, really easy. Okay, back into sculpting. Over here, I'll get a stamp. And what I want to do is add some cuts into it like this, but I'm going to make them white instead, because then it's like the inside of the rock, you know, it's got chipped off, so it looks more natural. And you can add a tiny bit of soft blend or hard blend. Add some broken bits on these rocks.
I love that, it's so cool.
Okay, and you would go over and you do the whole rock like that, and then the last thing is you can also paint. I really like painting, and this is a really cool painting technique that I like to use. If you tap the end together, you can actually pull off colours off your colour wheels down to here like this, and you can pull off varying colours. So let's choose those.
Can you do that tap again? I always miss this.
The tap, you basically tap the bottom of the left one to the top of your right one, cool. And the other way around if you're left-handed. So one more bit of colour in there like that, and then you can spin this mixed wheel like this. I'm going to spin it that way and then that way, and you can see it's just changing here, which means as I'm painting it's going to change colour like this. So I'm going to make a thin little bit, like not quite that thin, about that thin, and then I can just like paint it down like this, and we can get like the varying layers as if it's like a nice piece of rock, and we can change down the soft blend and opacity and stuff, and then until you've got like some nice details on it. There we go. Okay, so we've now got our rock, but I want to make it explode. So the way I'm going to do that is first I'm going to turn on grid mode and clone this, and the reason I've turned on grid mode is it means I can clone it without moving it. If I just quickly show you, if I don't have grid mode on, I clone it and I'm going to move it a tiny bit, no matter how careful I am. But if I turn grid mode on, I can clone it and put it in exactly the same spot. And so now we have two rocks in exactly the same spot. I'm going to go to our hide tool, and I'm just going to hide one of them. It doesn't matter which one, because one of them's going to hide, and it's going to leave me with just one rock I've got here now, like that. Now I'm going to make...
John, can you publish this rock when you're done with it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
You'll make a lot of people very happy.
Yeah. I'm going to now chop this rock up into bits to be the destroyed version of it. Now I'm going to do that is I'm going to go into sculpt mode, and I'm going to choose this tool down here called cutout, and I'll choose, square's actually good, and I'll turn grid off. And what that does is you can see it just chops a bit out of it, and you can soft blend that like you did do with other things, or you can make the cutout a different colour. So I'm actually going to make the cutout like a lighter colour, because then that's like the inside of the rock, if that makes sense. And what I'm going to do is chop it slap bang in half first, then I'm going to chop that one in half. You can sort of see where this is going. And then I'm going to chop that one in half, and I'm going to try and vary it up a little bit to make it look a bit loose. Miss that. Do that again, a bit bigger. There we go, a bit there like that, and then chop this one.
So is the bit that remains is the stuff that's coloured in? Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. And it's just leaving one, and so I'm just working my way through them and just sort of like
Gotcha.
chopping them into smaller and smaller segments. There we go, and probably that one.
Oh my god, I think I've sat through like every Dreams demo for the past like 2 years, and I learn something new every time we do one of these.
And so now you can see I've got a rock that's full of bits, and it's white on the inside as if it's freshly split. Okay, so now what I want to do is just get all those bits, grab them all like that with select with the X button.
Don't miss any.
Make sure I've got them. Yeah, you can check by pulling away like that and undoing. Okay, so I've got them all, and I'm just going to group it. Then I'm going to go inside the group, select them all again. In fact, you can select anything inside a group if you double press X or select on anything inside the group, and it will only select things inside the group. And if you tweak it while you've got things selected, it will multi-tweak. So I'm just going to go here, multi-tweak, and make them all collidable, not collidable, sorry, movable, which means if I press play, they're
Whoa.
fall to pieces.
Whoa.
It's good. The reason it exploded then is there's still that hidden one that I had earlier, if you
Yeah.
remember. Okay,
It's just like, get out of here.
get out of here. Badoosh, badoosh. If I moved it over here and press play, it'd probably not be so violent.
Yep.
There we go.
Ah.
Which is nice. But I want it exactly at this place for now. Okay, so what I want to do is get an emitter so I can emit this in a bit. So if I go to my gadgets and I grab an emitter, I'm just going to plunk this in the world. It doesn't really matter where at the moment.
I love this gadget.
And tweak it, and I don't want any speed, maybe a bit of rotation, and because that means when I emit it, it's going to like spin so it looks like it sort of explodes a little bit. We'll tune that later. Emit once, and that should do, and then I'm going to choose what to emit, and I'm going to emit that group like that. There we go. So now that group's disappeared, and it will emit it when I send power to this.
So when I was doing my insects with the legs that explode and fall off it, I did each one individually with a separate emitter. Had I known that, I could have grouped all the dead legs and put them in the same group.
Absolutely.
And then, like, emit the whole thing.
Yep.
Now I know.
Now you know. Okay, I've now made the original rock visible again, and I'm going to put a microchip on it. And it's always good whenever you start doing logic, no matter how complex or simple you think it's going to be, just always use a microchip. It just save you so much time later. And give it a name. I'm not going to name it now, but please always name your microchips, give it a color code. I'm just going to rush through so you guys can see stuff. And I'm going to get the emitter, and I'm going to grab it and put it in here. And you'll see the cool thing is this little white dot here represents where it's going to emit, and you can see when I grab it, it moves that emit point. But if I put it in there, it remembers the last one. So that's really good. So that's why I could put the microchip out there earlier. Okay. Now what I want is a destroyer. So I'm going to destroy the rock at the exact same time I emit the broken parts of the rock. So I'll put that along with the emitter. Then I need something to trigger it. So I'm just going to put a timer for now. But this could be anything. This could be, say, a grenade going into it, or a sword swipe, or something like that. I'm just going to get a timer, set the time down to 1.3 seconds very precisely. Oh, and the trick here, I also get myself, is if you hold L1, shift or triangle on the move controllers, you can actually, you don't have to place the down wires one at a time. You can just keep placing the same wire then, which is
Cool.
a really handy tip for speeding things up. So now if we press play, after 1.3 seconds, it explodes and turns into a
Rubble. Nice.
bit of a rubble. But we need it to make it look more
Yeah.
exploding, right? Okay, so when we first grabbed that thing to emit, it disappeared, and some people have got confused by that because it's like, where's my thing? That if you turn on this preview invisibility, it comes back. You can see it's in the exact same spot, so it's a bit hard to grab, but we'll grab it out. It'll be one of them. I'll get it. No, almost. Which one? No, not that one. Come on. I keep grabbing the wrong one.
Which one are you trying to grab?
The bits one. And I know I'm going between the two because I see it jumping, so I've just got, there we go, got it. And it doesn't matter where we put it now, it will emit in the right place.
Right.
But now I can move it over here and I can work on it easier. Okay, so I can go in here and I can actually work on it and it will update that emitter. So what I want now is like more of an effect. So I am going to get a force applier. And the force applier is a bit like a sort of remote mover. When you tweak it, you can see it's got I tweak the sculpture. I have to turn on X-ray mode to grab gadgets. Okay, and that's going to apply force radially from this thing. So hopefully, if I put that there and leave, that's probably might be a good setting straight
And
away.
this is probably what they may have been using the force applier for the one where all the furry creatures are being pushed into the thing.
Absolutely could be.
I use that. I was making a game about trying to keep hedgehogs out of a bonfire. It wasn't in the beta, so you can't play it, but that was my introduction to this tool.
There you go. Boom. Loads. And we can keep tuning that until we're happy. That was a tiny bit fast, so I'm going to guess at that, and that will do for now. And I also want some particles. So I know I've shown you how to do fireworks before. I'm going to do something that's similar but rubbly bits. So I'm going to choose the most rubbly looking bit. For me is a square for whatever reason, and I'm going to just, in this case, draw a straight line with the ruler tool, something like that. Actually, I will do it outside of this because then you'll see it first before I stick it inside, else it's going to be invisible and no one will be able to see what I'm doing, which is not what we want. So one more time, draw that line, then we're going to tweak it and we're going to clone it in every direction, vary the size a little bit, do a few more copies, put some gravity on, animate it, and we get time running so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to stick it into a pulse, and I want it to be like bits, like
yes,
shards.
I see what you did. Cool.
And you can turn up the ruffle, which means you'll see it spin more, as if there's like, particly bits, even more copies, and maybe change the speed of the animation so it's more kapowy, something like that. Bit of looseness, bit of impasto. There we go. So now we've got like an exploding bit of rubble. And what we want to do is we only want it to play once. We don't want it to be looping forever. So back on the animation, I'm just going to stop it looping. And I'm going to get this, and I'm going to stick it inside the thing that we're emitting, and I put it
In the same group, right?
in the same group. Yeah,
Right.
and that's all I have to do. And so now when I press play, it
Nice.
explodes like a nice bit of
Nice.
rubble. And then the very last thing I want to do to make it look a bit more sort of cartoony is I'm going to go inside this group. And if any of this gets in your way, just use the hide tool all the time. The hide tool is your friend to get rid of unwanted stuff. I'm going to put a timeline in here. Make it nice and big. And I'm going to get a keyframe, and this is a bit like what Bogdan was doing earlier. It's very similar. I'm going to get a keyframe, and I'm going to change the color of all of these because I want them to glow. But instead of using the tweak, you can actually keyframe yourself using the tools. So I can select all these bits like this, to make sure that I get all the same color. To the other side, make sure I get every single one. Looks good. And then I can just paint onto it. Add some different colours. And you can see it's got this hatch line across now, which means you've started to record on it, see? Glow.
Oh, you're removing glow.
Ah,
You're
removing glow.
cut.
There we go. That's why. Thank you, Bogdan. There we go. Bogdan to the rescue. I was like, what is going on?
With the code tools, you can either add or remove.
Yeah.
And you have to do a gesture to switch between them. One of them just removes glow, the other one adds glow.
I also want to point out I'm super tired because I've been up since 5 a.m. this morning for unknown reasons. Okay, so there we go. That's nice and glowing.
I mean, known to you.
Known to me here. And so that was a recording on this keyframe here. And it means we can, if we unselect everything, we can get that keyframe and we can stick it in this timeline, and you can actually scale up a keyframe. So instead of doing the blend that you saw Bogdan earlier with 2 keyframes, you can actually just use 1 keyframe, and you can grab the endpoints. So what I want it to do is be bright to begin with, and then fade off like this, and we can tune what that looks like in a second.
Cool.
Okay, let's give that a go. Let's play. There we go.
Nice.
Cool.
And that is how you make an exploding rock. And
Publish.
the cool
Shall
thing
we
is
add
you can shrink it all down and stuff like this.
Shall we add a
and
sound effect as well?
Make it bigger. Make it bigger.
Yeah, I'll pass it over to Bogdan or Ed. to
Oh yeah,
add
do a sound effect.
You should do it.
Do it. No, do one.
You do it.
Can we make a sound effect out of John's voice?
Yeah, can you voice act the
Yeah,
rock?
can we voice act? Can John voice act the
We
rock?
could show off all the rock sounds that we've got.
I guess if we have to, but could John voice act the rock?
Sure.
Okay, I think that's a good way to end this stream.
You get to do it, man.
Yes! Yes!
Let's do both. Why not
Let's do both. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna
add
do
them
both.
together. Okay, you have to direct me.
So
Ed.
in sound mode, I'm just going to grab a sound effect in MIDI one of the sound effects.
This is where I've got to move right up to the camera to record
Yeah,
the
so
mic.
everyone's
Yeah.
got to see a nice close
Be
up of
prepared
John's
for my face.
And if you want to zoom the camera in on John's face,
I think you
that's
have a
also
minute.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm just getting
What do we
into
get?
Getting ready.
position. Yeah.
I'll do. So you can
Tom's
drop
like,
the sound on a timeline like this, and that will just play at the same time as this. That is pretty big.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
Massive rocks.
we could make it. Let's pitch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And now hopefully that will just work. Yeah. And now we
Nice.
need the John layer.
Okay.
Okay.
What kind of sound am I going for? Like
I don't know. What is John?
Everyone wants a boom.
Supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me when.
You're meant to be a professional voice actor.
Now, what if I find this again?
The tools menu.
Tools.
Everyone's getting a
recording.
very strange view of my face at home.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Nice.
Nice.
Good job.
Thanks.
And working the camera magic. Look at your face, John. Look at you.
Ah, beautiful. Oh, God, that's on the zip pot. I do not want to see that ever again. It's going to be a meme now.
Strong work
I
by
just
Angela
know
there.
it. Discord is going to be full of my stupid face tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
Why do you do this to me?
Everyone says this is why they came
no,
to the
we just
stream.
made the suggestion and then you did it to yourself. So
So
Sounds amazing.
just as I turn that one up, turn you down in
Thanks.
pitch.
Yes!
Nice.
Anyone who gets this and remixes it, the first thing they do is remove
Oh,
my
yeah.
voice.
Yeah, that does.
all right, let's
Or they're
publish.
They're going to make a whole song out of it.
Oh no, Ed.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Suggestions.
That's your homework for this weekend.
Do not want.
That'll be our next jam for the
One more time,
community.
let's just watch
John's
this.
voice.
John's voice.
Well, you know, I mean, it's all right. I think
Alright,
that's
publish.
a strong
Make sure you
end.
publish.
So,
Just-
yeah, you
Yeah.
publish that.
Oh, that's so good.
I give it a good
well
name. Any name suggestions?